Now, my next guest is a Morsi supporter who is not happy with today's events. Rania Lawendi was born and raised in Canada, but she has lots of family in Egypt. She joins me now by phone from Waterloo, Ontario. So, Rania, what was your reaction when you heard that the military suspended the Constitution, forcing President Morsi out?
I'm completely sick to my stomach, to tell you the truth. I've had this feeling now for the last hour and a half. I'm completely in shock. This is a complete coup d'etat, and I'm hoping that the Egyptian people aren't stupid enough to accept it, to tell you the truth.
And Rania, I just want to, because we keep moving our shots, so the image that we were showing moments ago, when you see the large crowds, when you see the fireworks, that is Tahrir Square. When you see this image, this is Morsi supporters who are angry tonight, who are chanting, some saying that they will be martyrs defending him. And as you can see his picture there as they hold up the picture of Mohamed Morsi and they wave their flags. So tell me a little bit, Rania, about why it is, tell me more about why it is that you're upset about what has happened.
Well, I've hoped for many, many years that Egypt would become a civil democratic nation, and when the January 25th protest happened, you know, all of us were so excited, so happy. My husband even took a flight and left his job, left everything, took a leave and went to the protest because he felt like he had to be part of that, be part of the history in the making. And it makes me so upset that we've gone backwards as a nation. It's an insult to those who've lost their lives in that revolution, that they were fighting against political oppression and repression, and this is now what we're going to go back to. The Muslim Brotherhood leaders have been stopped from traveling. There's even one of the main leaders was taken off a flight. He was going to come in. He wasn't allowed to travel. Many of them are suspended from flight. The Muslim Brotherhood channels and the now opposition channels have all been shut down. The Constitution is suspended, which of course is not an acceptable thing. This is by law. The army has no right to do that. And this new president can now issue constitutional declarations, which is very dangerous for Egypt. And, you know, we can try to sugarcoat this, but it isn't a good day for democracy in Egypt, definitely. And I hope that people will see this. Whether you agree with Morsi or not, this is above and beyond President Morsi. We have to focus on the fact that we were trying to move the nation towards a democracy, and when you have a properly elected official government in place, nobody has the right to remove them without the ballot box, and we have to respect that ballot box.
What they will say is that this goes beyond the ballot box. Some anti-Morsi protesters will say that he was dictatorial, that he was causing a religious divide in Egypt, that he was an Islamist, and that he was treating non-Islamists as second class. What would you say to them?
So I would say that that's all rhetoric in terms of, you know, when you've been under dictatorial rule for so long, you don't understand. Many people, when I have these discussions with them, somebody being born and raised in Canada, democracy obviously comes natural to me. The fact, you know, he had 1/3 of all the ministers assigned were Muslim Brotherhood, the rest weren't. I would have thought that he would have put more than that. I mean, if you look at the Conservative Party, our ministers are conservative ministers. That's what happens when you have a majority ruling party. And he put in Christians into his government. He put in people from the different opposing groups, and he put in people who were with his same understanding. And so there are no, like when you talk to many people on the streets, they're saying this rhetoric to the North American media, but amongst ourselves, if you say to him, did he steal from the country? No. Did he oppress anybody? No. Were people in the jails due to political oppression? No. Did anything get shut down? Like, people were worried about tourism, and they were worried about the finances of Egypt. All the bars are still open. All the tourist areas are still open. You go to Sharm el-Sheikh, people can still dress in their bathing suits and do what they want. So this is completely false information. I think there was an expectation that within a year he could turn the country around. When you have such deep-seated corruption, it's impossible to do that. Barack Obama's been in power for like 6 years, and he still hasn't been able to get America out of its domestic issues. So it takes time for a newly elected president to be able to do something, and we understand that when we understand how slow things move. At the same time, there's many things that he was able to do, but the corruption was so deep-seated. If you look now, the army is basically Mubarak's regime. The judges are basically Mubarak's regime. He said to them, if you guys believe that I shouldn't be in power, let's have parliamentary elections and let's see it through the ballot box. And they wouldn't accept that, because they know if they go to the ballot boxes, they're not going to win. There is definitely division in Egypt on pro-Morsi and anti-Morsi, but as you can see, there's just as many pro-Morsi supporters as anti-Morsi supporters.
Do you think this transition is going to be peaceful?
Of course not. Oh, I'm so scared, and I pray for the people of Egypt and what's going to happen, because if these Islamists were repressed under the Mubarak regime, even in iota, it's going to be an all-out funding frenzy in Egypt now on the Muslim Brotherhood and people like them. Even just now with their protests, they were completely violent. In the University of Cairo, 20 people were gunned down by police, Muslim Brotherhood supporters. Same thing in the areas that they knew that they were gathering. They burned down the Muslim Brotherhood headquarters, shooting at it first so people wouldn't come out, and then burn people alive in it. This is supposed to be peaceful? I mean, it's ridiculous.
You were planning to go, Rania, to Egypt in a few weeks. Are you still going to go?
My husband does not want me to go, definitely. He's worried about my safety. And unfortunately, anyone looking any type, wearing clothing, I wear the hijab, and anyone really looking any type of Islamist is at harm's way in Egypt. And this is something that's really scary. If this was a better thing for Egypt, I would have supported it, but this is bringing Egypt backwards another 50 years.
Rania, good to talk to you today. Thank you very much. That's
Thank
Rania.
you so much for the opportunity. Please pray for Egypt.
Rania Lawendi is a pro-Morsi supporter and Egyptian Canadian. She spoke to me from Waterloo, Ontario.